Hello, my name is John Murrell, and I wrote the words for the brand new opera Lillian Alling, which is receiving its world premiere here at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre in Vancouver by the very courageous and hardworking Vancouver Opera. This is one of my favorite kind of stories, Lillian Alling. I've written a lot of plays and several other opera libretti, but this story is a particular favorite of mine because it has a permanent mystery built into it. There really was a woman named Lillian Alling. She really did arrive in the mid-1920s from Russia and walked, she said, mostly walked alone across the breadth of the entire North American continent. And yet, all we really know about her historically is confined to about 2 years in 1927, 1928, when she suddenly appeared in northern British Columbia. She was arrested in Hazleton and sent back to Ocala Prison Farm in what is today Burnaby, British Columbia, because she was for vagrancy. She had no visible means of support and no residence, and because she had an unlicensed firearm. And she spent about 4 months on the prison farm. Then she headed north again and said she was going to walk back to Russia, her homeland. It's one of those wonderful stories that gets the pulse racing immediately, and yet it doesn't quite ring true. All we know is what Lillian Alling told us about Lillian Alling. So the composer John Estacio and I had the wonderful experience of getting to make up the beginning of her life and the end of her life and telling her entire life story, only the middle bit of which is actually true historically. There's only evidence for that middle part of her life. So we feel very excited to share the true story of Lillian Alling with you. And thank you for attending and taking an interest in Lillian Alling. And also to share with you the part of the story that sets up her mystery, takes in the middle part, which is historically true, and solves her mystery. But we're not going to tell you any more about how the mystery is solved. You will enjoy that by seeing Lillian Alling, a brand new opera.
Hello, I'm John Estacio, and I'm the composer of Lillian Alling, which is being performed on stage at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre right here in Vancouver. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a 3-year process to get Lillian Alling from the page to the stage. We started pretty much the day after Thanksgiving, 2007, with our first workshops with actors. We had additional workshops with actors before we had the libretto all settled. And then we had 3 music workshops, the last one being just this past December. And the last 8 months I've been busy orchestrating, writing all the music for the orchestra in time for the performance here in Vancouver. People ask me what's my favorite moment in the opera, what's the one moment I always look forward to. And there are numerous moments, but one moment is actually not sung by Lillian. It's sung by one of the characters that she meets along her voyage to Lillian. It's sung by Christian, who we meet in North Dakota. And he's a boy on a farm pining for the world beyond the confines of his dad's farm. And in walks Lillian Alling with this creature from this other world, essentially. She's from Russia, she's from New York, she's seen the world, and he wants to know everything about her and about the world. And it was essentially me. That was me growing up in Ontario as a young boy on my dad's farm, pining for the world beyond, and wanting to hear it from other people. And whenever somebody came to visit, I would just sort of latch onto them and tell me about the world outside. And that's a bit what Christian is like. And for me, it's hard to imagine that here we are almost 20, 30 years later since I grew up on the farm, and I'm out there in the world beyond, and it's hard to imagine that there's actually an opera of mine on stage here at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre. It's quite shocking, actually, sometimes when I think about it, but I'm absolutely thrilled, and I'm glad you're here, and I hope you enjoy the show.